Your luxury lifestyle is a lie. You aren't winning. You are a well-dressed slave buying heavier, shinier chains. But there is a brutal 4-number exit code to escape this financial matrix. It will violently crush your ego, but it will buy your absolute freedom. Dare to find out? Have you ever sat in the dead of night, the cold blue light of your banking app reflecting in your exhausted eyes, staring at a balance that makes absolutely no sense? It is the 28th of the month. You have sacrificed your sleep, your sanity, and 12 grueling hours a day to a system that would replace you by tomorrow morning if you dropped dead. Yet, the money has vanished like vapor in the wind. You are drowning in a sea of luxury that you do not even truly own. The tragic, unspoken reality is that those lifeless, plastic-funded possessions are actually owning you. Welcomes you to a reality check that might just change the entire trajectory of your life. If you want to finally break out of the financial matrix and support us in bringing you these brutal, unfiltered truths, hit that subscribe button right now so we can continue exposing the secrets they don't want you to know. I am not here to coddle your ego. I am speaking to you as someone who once choked on the exact same dirt you are swallowing right now. I vividly remember the blinding arrogance of my youth, thinking I was winning the game just because my salary went up. I was a premium, top-tier hamster running endlessly in a glass cage I mistook for a penthouse. When my income increased, I did not buy freedom. I bought heavier, shinier chains. A slight raise meant instantly financing the newest phone I did not need, chasing the illusion of healing through overpriced vacations, and eating at pretentious restaurants just to post a picture for people whose opinions shouldn't even matter to me. I whispered the ultimate, venomous lie to myself. I work hard. I deserve to enjoy this. But what was the truth? I was a well-dressed slave to consumerism, generating immense wealth for everyone except myself. I was making money, but my accounts were a graveyard of impulsive decisions. Why does a higher salary still feel like suffocating poverty? It is a terminal financial cancer called lifestyle creep. It operates like an invisible, blood-sucking parasite. The exact moment you step up one rung on the income ladder, your desires violently leap up 2 rungs to intercept it. You are literally mortgaging your unwritten future, bleeding out the dollars you haven't even earned yet, just to numb yourself with fleeting, superficial dopamine hits today. Now, let me pour a bucket of ice water over your remaining illusions. Look at the raw data. 75% of the wealthiest people on this planet are business owners and investors. Do you want to know what percentage of them got rich by purely relying on a bi-weekly paycheck, begging a boss for a pitiful annual raise? 0. Exactly 0%. Did you hear that clearly? So how do we, the ones without a trust fund, the ones forced to trade our irreplaceable time for a wage, hack this ruthless machine? Do we just accept our fate, grinding our bones into dust until we are discarded at 65? Absolutely not. There is an exit door, an algorithm reserved for the 1% of people who finally wake up. It is time to stop bleeding for someone else's empire and start building your own fortress using a definitive wealth allocation blueprint. 25, 15, 50, 10. Burn these 4 numbers into your psyche because they are the only map that will guide you out of the abyss. To step out of the abyss and finally walk through that exit door, the very first action you must take is paying the ultimate, non-negotiable price for your future freedom. 25% of everything you earn must immediately vanish from your checking account before you even have a chance to look at it, touch it, or justify spending it. I call this the liberation tax. When I first implemented this aggressive strategy, it physically hurt my chest. I was so accustomed to seeing my entire paycheck as my personal playground that taking a full quarter of it and locking it away felt like self-imposed poverty. But that was the slave mindset talking, whispering lies about what I supposedly deserved. You must begin to view this 25% not as money lost, but as loyal soldiers drafted into your personal army. Every single dollar is a mercenary whose only mission is to march into the market and capture more dollars. You send them blindly into index funds, into cash-flowing real estate, into hard assets that bleed money directly into your pocket while you are fast asleep. The wealthy do not trade time for money. They trade money to buy back their time. For years, I watched my peers upgrade their cars, finance their luxury watches, and expand their wardrobes, while my daily bank balance felt painfully tight. I looked like I was losing, but in the shadows, my army was multiplying. Compound interest was silently doing the heavy lifting that my fragile human body never could. I remember the exact, visceral moment my investments generated enough passive income to cover a single cup of coffee. It was a microscopic victory, but it tasted like absolute power. You have to endure the quiet humiliation of looking broke to people who are secretly drowning in six-figure debt. This 25% is the absolute baseline of wealth creation. If you tell yourself you cannot survive without this money, you do not have an income problem. You have a massive arrogance problem. You are refusing to accept your current financial reality. You must slash, burn, and tear down your current lifestyle until that capital is freed up. It is the blood supply to your future empire, and without it, you will die on the assembly line of corporate America. Once your financial soldiers are deployed to the battlefield, you must immediately turn your attention to the commander leading them, which is the singular asset that no market crash can ever erase. 15% of your income is entirely dedicated to your self-evolution, your relentless education, and the active construction of your own business vehicles. Formal education taught me how to be a compliant, punctual worker bee who politely asks for permission to use the restroom. It was a curriculum designed from the ground up to make me a replaceable cog in someone else's machine. I had to painfully unlearn everything. This 15% is your reprogramming budget. You use it to buy books that shatter your fragile worldviews, to purchase access to people who are standing on the mountaintop you are desperately trying to climb, and to fund the inevitable ugly failures of your first side hustles. When I was clawing my way out of the rat race, this money went into building a mediocre digital business that crashed and burned within 6 months. But the brutal lessons I bought with that failure were worth tenfold what any prestigious university degree could offer. It taught me sales, marketing, and the raw, unapologetic psychology of human desire. People will routinely scoff at the idea of spending $100 on a specialized seminar or a financial newsletter, yet those exact same people will blindly drop $200 on a Friday night, drinking poison that literally destroys their brain cells. You must become a ruthless acquirer of high-income skills. If your current industry vanished tomorrow morning, what is your inherent market value? If the answer terrifies you, it is because you have stopped growing, and you are depreciating like a financed sedan. By forcefully injecting 15% of your capital back into your own mind, you are guaranteeing that your ability to generate wealth outpaces inflation, outpaces corporate layoffs, and outpaces the artificial intelligence algorithms coming for your job. Armed with a sharpening mind and aggressively growing portfolio, you are now forced to confront the most painful, ego-crushing reality of all: the actual life you are currently living. Exactly 50% of your income, and not a single penny more, is permitted to go toward your fundamental survival and daily living expenses. This includes your rent, your groceries, your basic transportation, and your utilities. This is where the grand illusion shatters for most people, and where the fatal weakness in their character is brutally exposed. When I first audited my life against this rigid 50% rule, I was violently confronted with the truth. My lifestyle was consuming nearly 80% of my income. I was living a complete lie. The luxury apartment downtown with the floor-to-ceiling windows was not a reward for my hard work. It was a beautifully decorated maximum security prison cell. I had to do what most people are entirely too proud and too fragile to ever consider doing. I broke my lease. I packed my expensive, financed furniture into a cheap, rented truck, and I moved into a tiny, outdated apartment on the gritty edge of the city. I sold the sleek car that required premium gas and bought a rusted, reliable piece of metal that strictly got me from point A to point B. The social backlash was immediate and suffocating. Friends whispered behind my back, asking if I had been fired. Family members looked at me with deep, unsolicited pity. It is an excruciatingly lonely feeling to downgrade your life voluntarily, absorbing the harsh judgment of society, all while knowing you are executing a master plan they cannot even comprehend. But that 50% threshold is the ultimate, uncompromising test of your discipline. If you cannot fit your life into half of your income, you must relentlessly hack away at the dead branches of your ego. You do not need a luxury vehicle to commute to a job you hate. You do not need a kitchen with marble countertops to cook basic meals. You need shelter, calories, and a reliable engine to keep you alive while you build your wealth. Your ego will scream, it will throw tantrums, and it will demand comfort. Let it scream. The death of your financial ego is the birth of your absolute freedom. Trimming your existence down to the bare, unglamorous bone will inevitably drive you mad unless you intentionally carve out a small, sacred space to simply breathe. The final 10% of your income is your sanity anchor, completely reserved for guilt-free play and the raw, unfiltered enjoyment of being a human being. For a long, dark period in my journey, I made the catastrophic mistake of trying to save and invest every single spare cent, psychologically punishing myself for even entertaining the thought of a vacation or a decent dinner out. I turned into a miserable, hyper-obsessed miser, and, ironically, my productivity plummeted because my spirit was entirely crushed by the grind. We are flesh and blood, not emotionless financial calculators. This 10% is your designated pressure valve. You take this money and you blow it on whatever brings a genuine, unapologetic smile to your exhausted face. Whether it is a beautiful dinner with someone you deeply love, an absurdly expensive pair of shoes you have been eyeing for months, or a spontaneous, chaotic weekend trip to the mountains. The psychological magic here relies on the absolute absence of guilt. Because you have already paid your future through your aggressive investments, funded your intellectual growth through your education budget, and ruthlessly managed your survival, this 10% is completely clean. It reminds you exactly why you are working so hard in the first place. But there is a strict, unbreakable boundary. Once this 10% is gone, the fun stops immediately. You never ever borrow from your future to fund your weekend. This 25-15-50-10 framework is not a mere budgeting trick. It is a violent rebellion against a global system designed to milk your life force dry. It requires a level of sacrifice, social isolation, and unshakable self-belief that most people simply do not possess. But when you finally look at your bank accounts a few years down the line and you realize you no longer have to tolerate a toxic boss, panic over an unexpected medical bill, or trade your fading youth for basic survival, you will finally understand. The temporary pain of immense discipline is absolutely nothing compared to the permanent agony of a life unlived. The 25-15-50-10 framework is not merely a financial budgeting tool. It is a profound philosophy of radical self-liberation and a systematic rebellion against the modern rat race. True financial freedom demands that you ruthlessly divide your income to build a future empire while strictly controlling the present. It starts with the 25% liberation tax, sending a quarter of your earnings to the front lines as financial soldiers in index funds and hard assets to capture wealth through the quiet, heavy lifting of compound interest. Next, 15% must be injected directly into the only indestructible asset, your own mind and high-income skills, ensuring your market value consistently outpaces inflation and industry shifts. The most grueling test comes with the 50% survival threshold. This step forces a brutal audit of your current lifestyle, demanding the absolute death of your ego. You must willingly downgrade your living situation, ignore societal judgment, and survive on basic necessities so your capital can be freed up. Finally, the 10% sanity anchor serves as an essential psychological pressure valve, allowing guilt-free enjoyment to keep your human spirit alive during the grueling grind. Together, these pillars create an uncompromising roadmap out of corporate servitude. By accepting temporary discomfort and societal misunderstanding, you are actively purchasing your future time and autonomy. The ultimate realization is that wealth is not about projecting a luxurious image to others, but about silently building an invisible fortress of passive income and specialized skills. This system transforms you from a vulnerable consumer into an untouchable architect of your own destiny, proving that the short-term pain of absolute discipline is the only true currency that can buy lifelong freedom. Wealth is built in the shadows through the sacrifice of the ego, not through the public display of status. Society trains you to trade your precious time for money, and then trade that money for depreciating liabilities that make you look successful. The deepest lesson here is that every dollar spent on luxury today is actual time stolen from your future freedom. True power is enduring the quiet humiliation of looking broke while secretly building an empire that will eventually make you untouchable. Automate the escape. Set up your bank accounts so that 25% of your income automatically goes into investments and 15% goes into an education/business fund the exact day you get paid. If you do not see it, you cannot spend it. Audit and slaughter the ego. Look at your current living expenses. If they exceed 50% of your income, you must make uncomfortable cuts. Downsize your apartment. Trade in your financed car for a reliable used one, and cancel subscriptions. Stop caring about what your peers think of your lifestyle downgrade. Protect your joy. Calculate your exact 10% sanity budget. Spend it completely guilt-free on things that genuinely recharge you. But once it is empty, firmly lock the vault until next month. What is one ego-driven expense you can easily eliminate right now to start buying back your future freedom? Please share your perspective in the comment section below so we can all learn and get inspired by each other's journeys. If you found value in this content and want to keep evolving, please hit that subscribe button. Your support directly fuels this channel and gives us the motivation to keep producing more powerful, life-changing content for you.